Good morning, everybody. This is DearMamaSal on a cloudy Wednesday morning. It's 9 degrees here in southern British Columbia, which I understand will make about 49 in American. So, not a bad day. Definitely won't be sunbathing, let's put it that way. Well, I want to just let you know that I want to use the word of the day as dichotomy, but it's one of those words that if I put it up, nobody will watch the vlog, so I've got to find another word for it. I'm going to think about it. But being totally opposites, why did I do opposites? That would be it, right? Because in the last 12 hours, I have received a number of emails and comments, one of which made me burst out laughing, and the other broke my heart. So the one I want to start with, and maybe finish with as well because it was priceless, was the comment that I got. Oh, rats, and now I can't remember who said it. I'll put it up on the vlog, so you'll be able to read who said it, because I just can't remember who said it. I'm going to have to look it up again. But yesterday I was talking about the fact that I had lost my 2 cake tins and the marbles that, you make it into a Lazy Susan, which I've been dying to put on a vlog for you guys. And then somebody wrote to me and said something like, "So it's official, you've lost your marbles, Sal." I can't remember exactly what the wording was, but it was, how can you not burst out laughing? And then I can't remember what it was, but I wrote something back, and she wrote back again with another priceless quote, and it was so funny because then she told me that she'd been unable to sleep, so had been watching my vlogs. I don't know, send her to sleep, they're that boring? I don't know, but anyway, she'd been watching my vlogs, and she said she was giggling out loud, and I said, "No, it's nice to know I make you laugh at 3 o'clock in the morning, right?" Yes, it's now official, I've lost my marbles. Oh, rats, that was so funny. I got tears streaming down my face now. Messed the makeup again. Okay, now I've got to get myself together because the second part of this is serious, and it's serious to the point of making me almost angry serious. Alright, so I got an email. That could be wrong. I got a communication of some sort. It might have been email, PM, whatever it was, from somebody that I know and I hadn't heard from for a while. And that's fine. I'm a great believer in, everybody in their time. People pop in and they join in for a while and then they go away and do other things, and it's nice to know that they know they can always come back, and hopefully I will always welcome them, unless they've really pissed me off, in which case I won't, because I'm human. But anyway, so this person wrote and said, "I hope it, I haven't spoken to you for a while, but I hope it's okay that I write." And of course it is. And here was the question that just blew my mind. Is it possible to be raped by somebody you have previously been intimate with. In other words, if you're in a relationship, is it possible to be raped? So let's make sure that we get this really clear for anybody of any age, that you understand this. Anytime somebody forces themselves on you and you have said no, that is a rape. But here's the thing. What if they don't believe your no? So here's what I have done. And I've done this in the past, people. I need you to know this. I've literally done this. Where I have said, excuse me, I really don't want to have sex, and this is my first warning. And I literally say it like that. And this is my first warning. And then if they continue, I will say, just in case you didn't hear the first warning, I wish to tell you that I do not wish to have sex, and this is my second and more serious warning. Now, most people get that by then. When I say get it, they get in a harumph and, oh, you know, da-da-da-da-da, you women, and da-da, you know, and it goes, you know, all that sort of stuff, which is fine. But I had it happen one time where the arrogant little so-and-so did not choose to hear the second warning either, and still was coming on, and now more forcibly. And I said, this is your third and final warning, because although you have the strength to overcome me, and I understand that, I will be leaving here and going straight to the police, and from there straight to a hospital, and I will stand in a court of law and tell the court that I 3 times warned you, and 3 times you chose to ignore my warning. That will be considered to be rape. And by the way, as far as I know under the law, I only have to tell you once, not 3 times. So it will not just be a rape, it will be a premeditated and intentional thing. I'm glad to tell you that the person backed off. However, what I want to make sure that everybody, male or female, by the way, understands, is that anybody who does anything inappropriate or without your permission of a sexual nature is not somebody you want to be around. Now, my next point is this. If you are in a relationship and you didn't bother to set the boundary, if you didn't bother to set the boundary, if you didn't bother to speak up, say no, then that is a different matter. I'm not sure legally if there is a presumption of acceptance in a ongoing relationship. I don't know legally. I'm going to find that out. Is there an ongoing, in a court of law, is there an ongoing acceptance unless otherwise stated? I'll look into that for you, because that's quite an interesting question. Because I am pretty darn sure you don't have to give permission every time you have sex. in a ongoing relationship. So, but it's interesting to find out what the courts say. Huh. Learn something every day. All right, so very serious subject. One I certainly don't take very lightly at all. And I don't know about the rest of you who are listening to this. But it took me a long time to find out that my body was my body. And I was responsible for guarding it and looking after it and protecting it and doing, in my day they didn't have the sort of training that you have today. And so I really have to say that it took me quite a while to get all this worked out properly. Mind you, I also have to say it took me an awful long time. And I may not be the only one to find out that having sex did not have anything to do with love. Just because they wanted to have sex with me did not mean that they loved me. That was really, I think, one of the greatest disappointments of my life, when I actually woke up to that one. Golly gee. How devastated could I be on that one? I think nearly as devastated as finding out that Rock Hudson was gay, but I mean, that was a whole nother story. Look after your own body, male or female. This is equally important. What a subject for first thing in the morning, but an important one even so, and I will not shy away from it just because. I think one of the takeaways I got from being at, I think it was Vlogger Fair last year. I went to Vlogger Fair, and at one of the sessions they had the topic which had to do with we have a voice. And the whole topic was about the fact that if you've got any followers at all, and it doesn't matter how many hundreds, thousands or millions, if you have any followers at all, you have a voice. You have influence. People look up to you or respect you or whatever. And was it okay as a YouTuber, that was the question, was it okay as a YouTuber to tackle difficult subjects? And I am very pleased to say that it was the consensus of all who spoke that it is our duty, if we have any social conscience, it is our duty to tackle some difficult subjects every now and then. Because if we don't, who will? Now, I understand, because I understand human nature a little bit, that this sort of subject will also make a lot of people uncomfortable, and they probably would have turned off listening to the vlog as soon as I started it. Which is sad, but it's the price you pay for having a level of integrity. Because I can assure you it's a lot easier not to talk about this subject than it is to talk about it. And that is the dichotomy of life, I think. That sometimes the opposites are so important. You need to be able to see the yin and the yang. You need to be able to understand that you have the ability to make people laugh, but you also have the responsibility to make people think, in my view. If you have the one, you need to be equal on the other, or not necessarily equal, but have an understanding of the other. I have always respected those of great fame who use it to great good. Audrey Hepburn, with the work that she did as a UN ambassador, Angelina Jolie, who I don't particularly like, funny enough, but she definitely does great humanitarian work. I'm thinking about Bono, who used his fame to be a real ambassador. You know, you look at people who have done it not for the views, if you like. When you talk about some of these celebrities, they didn't do it for the fame. They already had that. They did it because they were passionate about a cause. Sean Penn, another person I don't particularly subscribe to, but do I give him full credit for using his fame to stand up for things he didn't believe in? Yes. Or stand up against things he didn't believe in would be more correct. So absolutely. And therefore, I would ask you to go back to the comment about I've lost my marbles. Because I cannot tell you how many people will think I've lost my marbles for discussing something like this. And you know something, that's okay with me. Because I know for a fact there are people out there who probably never comment, who will watch this vlog and go, wow. And then I will remind you that I made a commitment at the beginning to talk about love, life, and other problems. And I don't know about you, but I think rape's a pretty big problem. And it's amazing to me that we have come so far in understanding our rights as human beings, and yet this still is a problem. And I want to make a judgment call, which is not necessarily a good thing for anybody to do, but I personally think that anybody who commits this sort of an act is pretty arrogant. Richard. He's pretty arrogant. He or she, pretty arrogant person. Because what they're saying is their needs are greater than yours. They're also telling, of course, that they have no self-control because they can't back away and all those sort of things. So all I'm saying to everybody that wants to know, no. It is not okay. And yes, it is possible to get raped in a relationship. The same as it is possible to get verbally abused in a relationship. The same as it is possible to get physically abused. Not necessarily sexually, but physically abused in a relationship. Abuse is abuse. Got it? By the way, is it possible to get abused at work? Absolutely. I did a speech once for a Rotary Club, and I remember saying to the assembled, mostly male, audience, I need to warn you, in 20 years, what you consider to be quite normal reprimands of your staff will be considered to be abusive. By the way, they already are. And I need to give you a heads up on that some of the things and the words you're using on your staff already are abusive. However, it is my view that in 20 years you will be taken to court for it. So I want to give you a 20-year warning to stop doing it now. I don't think I won any popularity prizes that day, but I do still think it to be true. And so here we go. For those of you who know me, you know that I am in some ways a dichotomy as well, because I can be very, very funny, but on the other hand, as a lot of people have said, you don't want to piss her off. But you know, I am who I am. So everybody, I am pretty sure that if you've made it through this far on the vlog, that you will understand exactly where I'm coming from. And hopefully you will understand that not very often do I get on my high horse and have a little rant about something like this. But this is it. Really important subject. I'm hoping that everybody understands how important it is that we talk about it. Let's stand up together against abuse, be it verbal, physical, sexual, mental. Let's stand up and fight it together. This is DearMamaSal saying. I'm still chuckling about losing my marbles. Bye-bye for now.